minute for this thing to like click in. There it is. I don't think we're going to get a lot of attendees, but I think people will look at it either tonight or tomorrow morning, and then they can get their heads up on stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm pushing start.
Okay, great. Hi.
And we're live. Hi, Susan.
Hi. What a fun day.
What a fun day. I mean, I know each of the gem dealers. Well, no, I only knew some of the Virtue Gems team. But yeah. I mean, I know all of our gem dealers, and yet I was so happy to just sit and listen to them talk about what they know so well. It was so great. We never get to do that. Like,
I know, to collectively talk about it and everybody, have all the questions they have and to hear some of the stories. And of course, as a designer, to see the gems. I mean, there were so many beautiful gems. I loved Hannah Becker talking about, all of the different specimens and the heliodor she was talking about and loved it. And I had seen the heliodor. I'm like, I don't know how many people are going to what are they going to think about the heliodor? And she immediately knew about it. And then I can't even remember what the specimen was that went from Malawi showing it to Stuart Poole being jealous of it. I don't know where his specimen was. So it was so fun seeing everyone, one after another together and in different perspectives and sourcing from different countries and
all their different expertise. And Jennifer Dawes trying to buy everything from Monica before somebody else could buy it. So now the trick is you have to get asked to be a moderator so you can buy all the gems, apparently.
Yeah, she did buy a few. I think Mara had her eyes on some too. So that's when you have a jewelry designer moderating with a gem dealer. That's what you got.
And the gems sold all day long. So our gem dealers are actually getting some business. And that's one thing we want to remind everyone of is that gem fair is open all week. So keep going to the website, encourage people to go to the website and buy gems from the dealers because they can't be there live in the gem fair this year. So we want to support them.
And all of the dealers are supporting artisanal small scale miners on the ground. So your support it's all mine to market. I mean, what we had today, it's fun and it's interactive, but it's really what a lot of the conference talks about. How do we get to mine to market? And what does that mean? And when you hear, Eric Braunwart's been doing it for a long time. Did he talk about the World Bank project over 20 years ago that he worked on? I mean, that was the impetus for a lot of this. And
yeah, he was early, like first in this space.
Yeah.
Well, and he said something interesting when we were prepping for the session. He said, I'm not going to focus too much on selling gemstones. I'm going to focus on talking about what we do and why we care. He said, and that's what people need to remember when you're talking to a potential supplier is ask them, keep asking them questions, dig deeper, make sure that, they don't have to be doing everything. Eric's I love how transparent he is. There's some stuff we don't know about, he says. So we'll tell you what we do know, but you have to ask enough questions if somebody's just giving it lip service or if they really care.
Yeah, I mean, it's, his model is one, it's like mine to market in so many sources in so many countries all over the globe. So that's, the beauty of doing it for a long time. And just to speak as a jewelry designer and not a conference person, if he wasn't, he can't retire, he can't quit because he's the only person where you can get, 3 millimeters or smaller in every color of the rainbow and know where it comes from and have it be responsibly sourced. Like nobody else has that. And, we love color and it's a whole part of being a designer is you want to be able to have any color you want. And it's taken a long time to get there. But I think between everybody, you've got Stuart Poole in Sri Lanka with the cutting, that he has going on there and seeing how, a country that's been in the business for centuries or, how you can do it right in that country. And of course, Moyo, which is just like means heart. And we all have a big heart for Moyo and love it. So, hearing about the development of everything and the path.
Well, and the Virtue Gems, which you and Monica Gashui put together this year. It's like that's an incredible, another initiative. There's no way that we could do one monolithic approach to this problem. It's going to take 1,000 little mine to market approaches to start cobbling together this solution to responsibility in our supply chain. So it's exciting. Melissa's saying in the comments that she'll never forget seeing Eric talking at the first conference. He was so emotional and passionate. She says, I stopped buying beads and morganite because of him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've been, following up with content inspired by that. And every year, usually try and we don't have something specific on cutting this year, but we have the cutting, bringing the benefit back, this, in-country gems, which we've talked about here in the Gem Fair, and we'll talk about again, kind of woven through our areas. But yeah, it's inspirational. It really is. And of course, Virtue Gem, we had the whole Malawi Virtue Gem team, where we had Percy and Hannah, and then Zambia, where we had Mukosha, who is wonderful and such a talented jeweler and gem cutter himself. Both Mukosha and Percy are jewelry designers and jewelers in their own countries, and they sell to, to buyers in their own countries. So they're both wonderful to have on because they get it. They can talk about the cuts. They can talk about, the settings, and they totally get it. And then to have Pauline, who everybody knows, Pauline Mundiai in Zambia is a powerhouse woman. I mean,
yes,
you and I have had her on the panel that you did in Nairobi with us.
Mm-hmm. The gender panel, where the whole room started screaming. I still remember that panel.
That was a powerful panel.
That was a powerful panel.
Yeah. And in Kennedy, who he only spoke for a little bit, but Kennedy is an African gem dealer in Zambia, Zambian. And he just, every time that he speaks, he just hits it. He'll tell you about how the co-ops are run. He'll tell you, that he had Mara there, the designer that bought a lot of his emeralds, and that he, was able to be there with Mara moderating and saying, this is what the community of emerald miners said. They said, we're going to give you better quality now. We trust you a little bit more. You're bringing a benefit back to our community. And now we're going to trust you and give you a little bit more emeralds, a little better quality. It's all, we have, communication and trust things to build up. And
well, yeah, because they have to make a living. So they need to know that we're going to come through for them. Yep. Let's see, other things. We want to remind everyone that the link for the documentary is open now. So you can actually watch that program all day today. Well, today's getting kind of late, but today and all day tomorrow. And then it will no longer be available after the screening tomorrow evening. And if a bunch of people want to watch it this evening, it's a good idea because the screening room can only accommodate 100 people. And there are about 500 of us now. So we're hoping that people will opt in and watch the screening throughout the evening tonight and then during the day tomorrow, or make sure you see it. It's really important that everybody see it. And then for those and then no matter when you watch it, to join us tomorrow evening for the Q&A with Claudia, because that will be just a great opportunity to hear from her as the producer director of it. So that was something we wanted to remind you guys about. And what else, Susan? Let's see.
He's really, Claudia's really, this is we say grassroots a lot, and we meet it in our area here, but this is a grassroots film that Claudia's put together. And although, Maxima is a hero globally, just because, we always talk about we need to tell everyone's story, but sometimes you're up against such odds. So just because everyone knows Maxima, or a lot of people do, and you'll get to know her when you watch a movie, and we know about her problems, her fight and her struggles and how she's won in many cases, and you know about it globally, it still doesn't mean that there's complete, that there's change or that everything's going to be okay, So I think seeing that and understanding is the first step for us. It doesn't mean that just because we see the movie Maxima's going to be okay. She's still getting harassed by mining, And now I'm getting the heavy stuff tomorrow. Just because Chief Lucas came to Chicago last year asking for help doesn't mean that this year, a few weeks ago, there wasn't an assassination attempt on him because he wanted mining rights. So I don't want to get heavy after the fun Gem Fair, but we have a lot of work to do. And tomorrow is going to be a lot of heavy heavy
There's
content.
a lot of heavy lifting. Real quick, before we move to that, Crystal's asking for the link for the Maxima film. Crystal, if you go to the event website, the 2020.crjc.info site, and just make sure you're logged in. If you have to go to the little ... menu in the top right and log in with the email address you used to register for the event, and then navigate to the session. In the session description is a link. You have to copy and paste it into your browser bar. And then it'll be a live link tomorrow for the live showing, but you can copy and paste that link right now. So yeah, now let's talk about, or you know what, I might, Susan, start talking about the sessions tomorrow. I might be able to put the link another way right now, so I'm going to try that.
Okay. So we start with one that has a lot to do with the Gemstone Boutique today, which is good, and that's the supporting the SDGs through our jewelry. And a lot of the ways that we can support the SDGs is in the artisanal small scale mining. This actually is linked directly to artisanal small scale mining, which makes up the majority of our colored gemstones. So, so that's a good one. That's a fun one. It's a lot. How many people are on that panel now? Like 6?
Yeah, I can tell you exactly, but the number kept growing.
Yeah, and I think when they presented, they've only presented about this research once, and I think it was at the UN, and they had 1,000 people in attendance for it. So it's really what, you know, is good to talk about and is a good thing that we can do and hear about and learn about and implement into our own lives and practices. What can be done about Mercury? This is so important to talk about. And Christina Miller, who we have moderate all the time, she knows her stuff on this and moderating and is pulling it together. Bosisi is getting his doctorate in this area. And so he brings, everybody brings such an interesting perspective. Susan Keene spoke a few years ago with when we had River of Gold on, and she talked about deforestation and gold, and now she's been working with the UN and in the Minamata Convention on this. So yeah, Benjamin Voucher, who's EPA. I mean, you know, like that's another thing that you're wondering, where are these, you know, what's our government doing? Well, they're doing a lot, you know, so.
Yeah. And that one's one of the Chatham House Rules panel, so we will not be video recording it, so you need to catch it live, or you'll only be able to read a summary later. And then right on the heels of that, we've got the large-scale diamond mining panel, which is also going to be pretty heavy.
And also Chatham House Rules.
And also Chatham House
so
Rules.
Those have people that are working on really big issues globally, and they have to be Chatham House Rules so they can speak freely. So yeah, sign up.
Yep. And then then we have a break over the lunch hour. And then we go to a session on Choco jewelry with Juana Mendez. And that one's going to be, it's just really interesting. She's just going to be talking about a jewelry tradition in her region and the struggles that community has because of mining in their region, and how they want to hold on to their jewelry tradition, but it keeps getting corrupted and thwarted. So that's another great session tomorrow. That one will be at 2:15 Chicago time.
Yeah, the community in Chaco is very interesting because they were brought into Colombia as slaves. Many of the community that she'll be speaking on, and they were brought to mine gold. Yep. And then they've always been, you know, it's always been around gold for this community, but they also, you know, through generations have become very skilled goldsmiths. How do they do that now if when they touch gold, there's mercury on their hands? Yeah, you know, it's really, you know, it's like learning from history, learning from our art and our craft and our creations, and, you know, the implications, but also, you know, seeing how communities are formed around it historically. Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
Yeah,
it's super interesting.
Yep. And then we have the Gemstone panel tomorrow. It is a heavy day tomorrow, Susan.
I know, but then we get movie night. Then we can have popcorn and watch Maxima, and we can be like, go Maxima. The Gemstone panel is, you know, we talked about it a little bit this morning. It's really important to see where are the gemstones going in and out of the countries? How can we bring greater benefit to source communities? It's,
And one thing that I've seen over the 4 years of the conference now is that the conversation keeps getting more nuanced. It keeps getting more informed. So I'm very excited to see where we are with the gemstone discussion this year. Because it's evolving.
Monica Hichui, as you know, and I work very closely with her with Virtue Gem, and we work closely with her with conferences like in Nairobi and hopefully coming up a conference in Zambia, is so well versed in this area, from her work in government to her work, as one of the founders in Awake and in what she does now. And as well, Mukasiri, in Chico and Marcina, we have so many experts to these different areas that it's really interesting. But to talk again about, let's make it benefit, it's really, let's make everything be to the most, let's bring the most benefit that we can when we make our jewelry.
For sure. Let's do that. And let's end on a thought that I think, was it Melissa or Monica said it earlier in the chat. We were talking about how the miners are now starting to give you guys better materials for Virtue Gems. And Monica said trust works both ways.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's a great note to end today on. That, we're challenging our supply chains and asking them how responsible they're being. And our source communities are challenging us back and saying, are you really in this with us? So trust works both ways.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Tomorrow. Thanks for hanging out today.
Bye-bye.